You see how little I care right now? Out here with no makeup on, no bra, in a hoodie at like 8 o'clock on a Tuesday. Some days are more professional than others.
This is Halloween, 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 Halloween.
What is up, my dudes? Yes, let's address it the first thing. I'm wearing Shane Dawson merch. I'm wearing official Andrew Sawicki merch. It's got a teacup. I got this as a gift from my cousin who I love so much. She got it for me from the last restock and I'm so excited, and I just had to wear it in a video because I was so excited by it. So I wanted to go ahead and get that out of the way before we talked about what today's video is about, which is I stretched up my ears again. Now the timeline on this video is going to seem like it's a bit late, and that's because it is. Today is February 4th. I don't know what day this is going to get posted, but I originally filmed this on like January 23rd. And then I looked back at it and I hated it. Like, you could tell that I was exhausted and that I did not want to be filming the video because I spent the entire video looking over here and not smiling and just kind of talking like this. Like, I was just gone. I already have a tendency of looking away from the camera anyway because I have anxiety and I feel like I'm making eye contact and that makes me nervous. So there's a lot of dust flying around in the air right now. So without really any more procrastinating, let's get into the video. So for those of you who haven't seen, there's a video on my channel from, I want to say a year and a half ago, where it's like my ear stretching journey of all the way to 1 gauge, which I was at up until last month. I'm currently sitting at a 0 gauge, obligatory close-ups of the ears. Wow, I'm so professional. Making everybody look at my atrocious acne. Charity. So the story behind my stretched ears can pretty much be found in its entirety in that video, which I will link below if you want to see that. But basically, I had been stretching out my ears for a few years, and then I wanted to go from a 2 gauge to a 0 gauge. I'm incompetent and I don't know the millimeters of that. And the guy that I was going to at the time, who was doing all of my piercings, convinced me that if I went to an in-between size, it would make the jump from 2 to 0 a lot easier, because apparently 0 is really painful jump from 2, I guess. So I went to a 1 gauge on June 10th of 2018, and I had been there ever since until January 17th of 2020 when I stretched up to 0 gauge. So basically what happened is I got tired of waiting to stretch up. I am more than happy to wait the allotted amount of time that you're supposed to wait. I learned my lesson. If you watch the video down there, I almost had a run-in with a blowout where my ear swelled up around my jewelry. I'm not meaning that. What I mean is that the piercer that I was going to, when he stretched my ears up to a 1 gauge, they just slid right in. And he was like, oh, okay, so I guess you're already at this size, but just to be safe, stay at this size for like 4 weeks and then come back here and I'll stretch you up to a 0 gauge. And I was like, cool, sounds great. I call him back a month later to see if he can schedule me in. And he's like, I never told you that. You can't come back for like another 4 months. What? And he was like, yeah, I never would have told you that. And I'm like, well, I didn't make it up. So he pretty much was just denying that he ever said it. So I got mad and I was waiting until January of 2019 when I contacted the girl who's like his apprentice and spoke to her about, did they have any tunnels in a size 0, because I wanted to stretch up, but I was tired of stretching up with stone because I'm not particularly fond of wearing plugs. I prefer tunnels. It's just a preference thing. And she was like, no, we don't have any in right now, but I can place an order. Give me your information. Gave her all the usual stuff, name, number, email, stuff like that, place she could contact me. And she said, okay, it'll be like 6 to 8 weeks, I think she said. And I was like, okay, that's fine. You're ordering them from out of store. Cool. I will hear from you in the next 6 to 8 weeks. Eventually 10 weeks goes by and I've heard nothing. So I contact her again and I was like, hey, have you heard anything about when my jewelry is supposed to get there? I hadn't paid for it at this point, but I was like expecting that it would have been in by now. And she's like, no, I'll have to talk to head piercer guy and see if he's heard anything about it. I'll get back to you in like the next week. Never heard anything back ever again. It was a really good thing that I hadn't already paid for them because they never came in. It's literally been over a year and they never came in, which I thought was really annoying and unprofessional. So I got annoyed and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna start doing it at home again. I'm just gonna have to be really careful. So after looking at videos online and even a girl that I've been subscribed to for over a year, I found the brand Urban Body Jewelry. They had really good reviews and their products looked really good and they were pretty decently priced. So I decided, what the heck, I purchased 2 size 0 tapers because I prefer to use separate tapers. That way I don't like cross-infect anything if there's like ripping or blood or pus or anything. And then I ordered 2 individual tunnels that were size 0. All of this was titanium because I'm allergic to most other metals. The ordering process happened about like November, so just so you know where this is at. So while I was waiting a few weeks for those to come in, I decided I was going to change the jewelry that I was sitting at, and I put my silicones back in prior to this, where I was mad that he said that I was going to have to keep in the jewelry that I had on. The 1 gauge jewelry looks like this. It's incredibly long, and whenever I wear it in my ears, it's really hard to get comfortable. My earlobes often like push up off of my ear, and so I feel like I look like a Buddha statue. And then when I try to sleep, this pokes into my neck and it makes it really hard to sleep on my sides, and I can't sleep laying on my back. So this made it incredibly uncomfortable to sleep in. So I put the silicones back in. The silicones were 2 gauge, but I could get these in and out just fine. Like, it didn't matter. For reference, these are my silicones. I believe they are from Chaos Software. I ordered them through these people at this piercing studio. They're just normal silicones. They're only in gold because it was the ones they had at the time. So I decided, while I'm waiting for this jewelry to come in, I am going to put my 1 gauge ones back in. Those are the really long ones. And then about 3 weeks later, my jewelry came in at the wrong size. It wasn't even the jewelry, it was the tapers that was the wrong size. I ordered 2 tapers and 2 tunnels that were all supposed to be 0 gauge. I don't know the millimeters on that. But when I got them, the jewelry was 0 gauge, and then the tapers were a 4 gauge. Which was smaller than the size I was already at. But they were in a 0 gauge bag. But I knew it was the wrong kind, because the thing I like about Urban Body Jewelry is they send you like this little like ruler card thing where you can measure out how big the sizes are and stuff. And then on the back, there's this little diagram of circles where you can like match up the size of your jewelry with the size of these on here. And then it's got a little size thing on the side that shows like gauges versus metric versus inches. And it goes, did you see me almost drop it? It goes all the way up to 12 millimeters, which isn't actually on the metric side. The highest one on the metric side is a 00. So, you know, it goes one up above 00. And then, you know, it's got like small ones here on the side. So when I put it up on the thing up here, it fit up with the 5 millimeter one, which is the 4 gauge. When I emailed them about it, they were pretty cool about it. They were like, okay, I'm really sorry that that happened. Is there any way that you can take a picture of the tapers against your little measuring card and show us that it is the incorrect size? It's like, all right, cool, makes sense. I'm sure that there are people that try to, you know, get free stuff and don't have any proof. So I sent them a picture of both tapers against the 5 millimeter thing, millimeter versus the 8 millimeter, which is the size I was actually going for. And they were like, cool, we're really sorry about that. We're going to send you out a new pair as soon as possible. A couple more weeks go by and I become incredibly frustrated because then I get a new pair. Both of them are labeled 0 gauge bags, but only one of the tapers in these bags is an 8 gauge. The other one is another 4 gauge taper. Now, I am not on this brand in any way, shape, or form. I've never used them before, so for all I know, I could have just had a really bad experience, or there was like a mix-up because it was close to the holidays. I don't know. I am not talking smack on the brand at all. But it was incredibly annoying for me that now this was the second go around, and I ordered two of the 0 gauge ones. And now I have 3 4 gauges and 1 0 gauge. So I emailed them again, trying to be nice because I know that whoever I'm emailing with, it is not their problem. They did not do it. They are just the person on the computer. And I explained to them, look, I had this issue already. Only one of these is the correct size. I have again gotten a 4 gauge. I understand that I could stretch my ears with just the one, but I don't want to do that because of cross-contamination. Can I please get the size I was meant to get? I wait again, and I expect for them to send me one of the 0 gauges to match up with the one they've already sent me. Instead, I got a completely new set of 0 gauges. So now I have 3 of the 4 gauge tapers and 3 of the 0 gauge tapers that I don't know what to do with. Wearing this hoodie was a really bad idea. It's really hot in here, but I don't want to take this off. So for reference, this is a 0 gauge taper. It matches up with the 8 millimeter circle in here. If I can get it, there it goes. It matches up with the 8 millimeter circle, which is 0 gauge. And if you line it up over here, it is the correct size. So now I have 3 of these for no reason. After that entire debacle, once I finally had everything, it was like mid to late December, I think. And I tried to stretch my ears and they did not want to go. Like, I could get the tapers in and it kind of pinched, but my ear was seizing up too quickly and I couldn't get the jewelry in. As someone who has almost had a blowout and their ear has grown over their jewelry, I was not about to push it because I'm not stupid. So I decided I would put my 1 gauge jewelry back in and that I would eventually stretch up when I thought my ears were loose enough. So about 2.5, 3 weeks later, every single night, those long plugs are coming out of my ears while I'm sleeping. Like, they're pulling like from like the back. So the big front part is pulling out and my ears are pretty loose. And I'm like, okay, you know what, whatever, I'm gonna try again. The tapers slid in completely perfectly this time. And I got the jewelry right in, popped it in, no like actual stretching happened. It was just that I like had dead stretched and my ears were loose enough. When I was stretching, I used good old holy butter. I live by this, swear by this. It lasts forever. A little goes a long way. I have had this literally forever. It is kind of like, it kind of looks like a Vaseline situation rather than like some of them that look more watery. This is a completely vegan balm and I really like that because I know that some cleaners or lubes for stretching or for cleaning your stretched ears have like eggs and stuff in them, I heard. I don't know if that's just H2 Ocean, but my old piercer told me that H2 Ocean had eggs in it and that a lot of like balms that are like competitors to this have like weird products in them. And so I use this one because I know what's in it. So it's vegan, it's clean, it's easy to use. I prefer using this to like vitamin E oil or like jojoba oil, I think is the other one that people use sometimes. I think I had jojoba oil at some point and I just didn't like using it. It was too slippery. I couldn't keep a hold of anything and it was just really messy. This is pretty clean. And like I said, a little goes a long way. So if you decide to stretch at home or if you like taking a personal lube with you when your like piercer stretches up your ears, I suggest holy butter. I don't know if you can get this online. I bought this at my old piercer's place. So I know that if you go into a piercing shop, there's a good chance that they'll have this. Just ask for it, I guess. Just like I said in my previous video about ear stretching, I clean my ears with NeilMed Piercing Aftercare Spray. It is a wound wash spray. I definitely prefer this to H2 Ocean. I tried H2 Ocean for a while and I feel like it just didn't get the job done as much. That's for me personally. If H2 Ocean works fine for you, that's great. But again, this is another thing that I bought from my old piercer's place. And even if I don't get my ears stretched up there anymore, I'll definitely keep going back to buy this and the holy butter because I refuse to use any wound wash except for this one. I just feel like it gets everything properly clean. There's no weird after smell. It sprays in any direction and I really like that, including if it's like upside down and you're like spraying weird like this. I just noticed that the plastic is still on this. This, I believe, is the, I think this might be the mini because it's only the size of my hand. I think there's like a bigger one, but I know they do have like a mini and a regular size. I'm just waiting until I finish using this one before I go back and I get the regular size one again. So again, that stretch up was on January 17th of 2020. I think I'm gonna leave this jewelry in for, I would say like a minimum of 6 months, maybe a year. I might stretch up again, like if they start to dead stretch, kind of like the last ones did, and they start falling out. But I'm pretty okay with where they're at right now. I mean, it's definitely not my goal size. I don't actually know what my goal size is yet. This used to be my goal size when I first started stretching when I was, I think I was like 20. But now to me, I'm just like, no, there's no way I can stop here. I definitely don't want to stop at 00 either. I really like 00, but I definitely don't want to stop there. I think I might go 1 or 2 beyond 00 depending on how I feel at the time. But yeah, they're going really well. There's been no blood since then, no pus, no swelling, no tears, knock on wood. They've been doing really well. It was one of my easiest stretches in a really long time, quite possibly the easiest stretch I ever had, but again, that was because I was sitting at an in-between size and I like dead stretched them out. Again, when I had said in the video that I was having issues with Urban Body Jewelry, that is not a slam on the brand. They were really nice about, you know, believing me when I was like, hey, I have a problem, as long as I sent like photographic information. They were really good about getting back to me quickly and communicating with me and sending everything out on time. So even though I did have a few issues with them, I don't have an issue with the brand in general. I actually think the brand was pretty great. The tapers worked really well. The jewelry is titanium like it says it is because I haven't had an allergic reaction to it. Everything fits like it's supposed to. They didn't make me ship back the ones that I didn't need, so I didn't have to worry about like a shipping price to send them back, which was more money on top of what I already paid for them. I think their prices are pretty reasonable. That was not a ghost. That was there's so much dust in the air right now. So yeah, all in all, I think the brand was pretty good. The stretch went really well, and I am one size closer to my goal size, which I don't actually know what it is yet. So that's pretty much all I have for this video. Before you leave, please, 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 if you are not already subscribed and you like this content or want to see some of my other content, hit the big red subscribe button below. Please join the family. I was gone for a really long time, but I'm coming back and I'm making videos on a regular basis again, so please join the family and see what other content I have coming up for you guys, which I have a lot planned. Please follow my other social media in the links below. Down in the description, you can find my TikTok, my Instagram, and my Twitter. Ironically enough, I'm on TikTok the most because that's where all of my cosplay content goes, and actually even some original comedy content, but I'm not actually that funny. So if you are interested in comedy content or cosplay, which is pretty much like more than half of what my TikTok actually is, please follow that. Follow my Instagram, follow my Twitter. Give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Share it with anybody that you think may be interested in it as well. Comment something interesting below. Have you had any experiences with urban body jewelry? What brands do you use when you stretch at home? Do you stretch at home? Does somebody do your stretching for you? Have you started stretching yet? If you have questions about ear stretching, please ask me in the comments. I'm gonna leave my other video where I talk about all the way up to stretching to 1 gauge in the description below, which answer a lot of like beginner questions and a lot of what not to do is because I messed up a lot at the beginning of stretching my ears. And I think that's about all I have for today. So I love you guys and I'll see you next time. Bye.